That's right, Matty. Just because you win a race doesn't mean that you get a cruisy start to the day. But race 3 of Touring Car Masters GT, I know you've got a 69 Camaro, so there's a few favourite cars out here.
Yes, very favourite car, 69 Camaro. I own one for the road. I'm not sure that I'd be racing one, though. I'd much rather be racing this, the HRT Commodore.
This is a great shot. 3 race wins in a row. It was a real backwards and forwards fight with Jamie all day.
Yeah, it was. Look, it was a game of chess in the middle part of the race with fuel economy and trying to look after the car, but no fuel economy required in this race.
And I've got a funny feeling that they wouldn't have a clue how to do fuel economy in Touring Car Masters. This race is the final race of the weekend, and as you can see on the grid, some of the big names in this category, Jim Richards, John Bowe, back in the pack because it's a reverse top 10 for this final race of the weekend. So far, Brad Tilley's Falcons won 1 race, John Bowe has won another in the Mustang. We've actually lost a couple of cars too. Gavin Bullis, the former champ, his Mustang has had engine problems and he's out. Andrew Madicki swapped from one Camaro to another. And we've seen the debut this weekend of Eddie Albanese's XB Coupe, and Tony Edwards there down the back has had some problems with the SLR 5000 Tirana. So the Aussie cars are now in the mix in this category to compete with the American muscle that has dominated it in the last couple of years. But the Clipsal Street Circuit, 3.2 kilometres, and this category has been a really popular part of this event. And as you can see on the map, 3.2 Ks and a bit of a mixture of everything, really.
Yeah, a lot of everything. You see there, turn 4, heavy on the brakes, lots of bumps, and you'll see these cars moving around quite a lot. Turn 8 in a Touring Car Masters car, quite wild, and very hard on the brakes this circuit. So you'd imagine for the Touring Car Masters guys that don't have the same brake technology as we do in V8 supercars, that it'll take it out of their brakes as this race goes on. Funny
thing is, though, these cars are actually better than they were in their heyday, but they will be muscling them around after the break. It's race 3 of the weekend, the Touring Car Masters presented by Autobahn on the streets of Adelaide. Back on race day extra, getting set for the final race of the weekend in the Touring Car Masters. Nigel Benson will start from pole position. He's on left of screen. Keith Kasuk is also with him as well. So the HQ Holdens will start up front. Alistair McLean, Andrew Madicki. The Camaros are on road 2. Jim Richards 7th in the Falcon Sprint, reigning champ in car number 1. Love this category, such a mixture of cars. Look for the Porsches to be strong from the mid-pack. Down on the grass, Andrew Madicki runs out of grip.
Not much grip on the grass we see here now. Steve Mason, it looks like, in the Camaro, trying to get through, thread the needle. Does it just, but the guys starting sort of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th that are on the inverted grid position, they're trying to make hay while the sun shines and get a few spots early in the race.
In car with Andrew Madicki.
You can see it's plenty going on in the cockpit early in the lap up to turn 4.
John Bowe right with him, then Jimmy Richards, then Brad Tilley. There's Eddie Albanese in that new red XB Coupe. And Steve Mason, the inaugural champ, is charging.
Yeah,
McLean's got the lead.
Steve Mason's really got his head down here, and he's going after the lead because you can see back in the pack, it looks like JB's got in front of Richo. So these guys are all trying to get past each other as well as past the inverted top 10. So you see here Jim Richards trying to get John Bowe actually trying to get a run up the turn 8. Andrew Madicki up the inside.
Oh, this is tight stuff. Turn 8, back to single file. Now Madicki doesn't normally drive this car. His team owner Bob Middleton does, but the car that Andrew normally drives, the 69 model, had an engine problem, so they've swapped cars as JB now launches a move and gets past Kasuki.
Back on board with Madicki, and you hear there the wheel spin. So Andrew not completely used to this car. No doubt he's driven it in testing a little bit, but not around the streets of Adelaide. So a later model than his 69 Camaro. Ergonomics are pretty much the same, but no doubt the dynamic of the car will be a little different.
Now a lunge. John Bowe trying to clear some traffic. Madicki's doing the same. So the fast guys are really working their way through. And this year in Touring Car Masters, a little bit of a change in the class structure and also in the way that the championship points are given. And it's possible that a class car could win this championship, just as was the case in the 70s in the Australian Touring Car Championship.
Yeah, that's right. They've changed the structure to be more a replica of what... Here we go, Andrew Madicki up the inside, turn 4. Nice, clean job. Gets to the apex, plenty of steering lock. Hard on the gas, sideways on the way out. But the point structure's changed for this year, whereas class cars now get the same points, or the same points accumulation, I guess, as the outright cars, but it's based on the amount of cars in that class, so it's a bit of a sliding scale, but certainly brings the class cars more into contention on an outright format.
Having a look here at Cameron Tilley in what is clearly the fastest pacer in Australia.
In the world.
It's a rocket ship, isn't it?
Tillys have been known for years about getting their speed out of the Valiant products, and I know last year when my wife Leanne was racing in the Falcon 4-door that she spent a lot of time racing with Cameron. She couldn't believe how fast the six-cylinder went in a straight line.
Bowes managed to get to him, so that's fourth. Mediki fifth. Here's Jimmy Richards down the inside, getting the move on Nigel Benson and Brad Tilley, that big Falcon that won the first race of the weekend, finished third in the second race. Hasn't been sideways yet. Something's wrong.
Yeah, give it time. We'll give it about lap 5 or 6. The big green Falcon will be sideways. And Brad tends to look out the side window more than the front window late in the race.
Here's Bow lunging down at turn 14.
That's one area that JB's car's always been very strong in this category. Very, very good on the brakes. Spends a lot of time working on the brake package. Even got water brakes in this car, a lot like what V8 supercars have got now. So the technology in these cars, very, very strong. A lot of V8 supercar technology being re-engineered into what's meant to be an older car, but under the skin, they're very, very modern. Yeah,
it very much is a category that it's representative of period racing, but it's not strictly historic racing, which was a way that the category went a couple of years ago. Replay of the start. Look for those Porsches.
There's two Porsches off the back. They just split the field and get a run on the big V8s. It's very hard to get the V8s off the line because leaf spring rear end traditionally, only a 4-speed gearbox, very tall first gear, so hard to get the cars moving off the line.
This is the new Tirana of Tony Edwards that's had some problems pretty much all weekend. They had a misfire earlier on and a few niggling dramas, so still ironing out the bugs in that Aussie muscle car. But out front, Alistair McLean leading the way, but Steve Mason, the inaugural TCM champ, is right with him, but JB is coming for the pair of them.
Yeah, these two guys, Alistair McLean and Steve Mason, really two of the stalwarts of this category, really got on board early in the category. Alistair McLean in the 68 Camaro, Steve Mason in the 69. You can see the different car shape there, but the 68 maybe a little lighter, got a bit more grunt in a straight line. Oh no, Cam Tilley in the Valiant. Looks like a mechanical issue. Pulled it up on what looks like the run up between turn 7 and turn 8.
That's a shame. Was running so strongly. Was a Group 2 contender last year, and that is the run down the back straight. So it's a shame. But JB is coming. That time around, that lap time is a 1:32.37. The leader's run 1 minute 35. He'll have them by the end of this lap.
Yeah, very, very fast this weekend, JB. He's really been a class of his own and qualified on pole by nearly second. See Eddie Albanese's new Falcon Coupe coming through. Fantastic looking car, even for a Ford. That looks pretty special.
Doug Westwood there running 11. Behind, here's the Porsches. Amanda Sparks leading, husband Greg Keane. And just behind, there's the car that your wife Leanne ran last year in the hands of Mark King. It started at the back. It's now up to position, what are we at, 14 now.
A lot of development gone into that car throughout last year, and I know with Mark King, obviously with his massive connection with King Springs, that was the next direction for that car to go and get into some spring technology and sort out the spring balance, and Mark's done that. So Leanne had that car fairly singing at the end of last year. No doubt Mark coming on board and driving that car will continue to be developed through the year. And it's hard when you're giving these guys like Jim Richards and John Bauer a year's head start, but the car's now getting much, much closer as we go past the yellow flag section where the Tilley Pacer is on the run of turn 8. But you can see here the difference in the big car versus the Porsche. Porsche's much better through the corners, but the bigger cars in the V8's plenty of straight line speed.
And John Bauer has closed right in. He's on the leaders as we approach half-race distance. And, well, it's a Masters category. We've got Masters in Bauer and Richards and the like. And we're going to see Glenn Seaton a little bit later on in the year in an XB Falcon Coupe as well that is being constructed. But
built by FPR, no doubt.
Well, so everyone's getting involved, aren't they?
Certainly, everyone's jumping on the Touring Car Masters bandwagon. It's a fantastic category and certainly one that all the fans love watching. Everyone can identify with it. I love watching it. And certainly one day I wouldn't mind going for a skid in a Camaro.
Steve Mason has been just having a couple of looks. This is tight, turn 4. McLean gives him plenty of room, but Bauer will fill the gap. Back in the day, it was Bob Jane in the Camaro, Alan Moffat in the Mustang. Fast forward, and still GM and Ford getting it on.
That's what's great about this category is you see the guys giving each other plenty of room. They're really passionate about their cars. They love their cars, but they give each other plenty of room.
No. It's only because JB owns his.
Yeah, well, I have said that to JB regularly. You don't do as much bashing and crashing in your own car, mate, as you used to when you're driving for others. But, you know, obviously all steel panels in these cars, so any sort of contact's real contact. Fiat Supercar now, a lot of carbon composite panels in the car, so they flex a lot more on contact. So these guys give each other plenty of room and a lot of respect for each other's machinery.
Now, while JB's been stuck behind these Camaros, he's got Mediki and Richards closing in there. some time out of these guys, so it will be a five-way fight before too long.
No doubt JB will see that big red Camaro in his mirror getting larger and larger, so he'll probably see that and think, right, it's time to get on with it. As we say that now, up the inside is Alistair McLean.
Huge lose. McLean is gone.
Just dropped an outside wheel off the outside of the circuit, used the inside curb, and that ran him wide, and then couldn't get the car stopped, and around he went. Real shame for McLean. He was doing a good job in the lead there.
So Mason inherits the lead. Bow, Mediki, Richards, top four. Let's have a look again.
Just running wide here, can't pull it up, into the gravel, and from here he's a passenger. You see the other guys saw what was going on. They had a box of what's going on. McLean was looking out the side window, wondering if he's going to get stopped before that tyre barrier in the wall there, but thankfully got it stopped in the grass.
He's managed to get running again, but is back in position 7.
It's a shame for Alistair McLean. He's looking like he was on for a podium there.
Well, it leaves a Camaro out in front. Andrew Mediki coming under fire. The reigning champ, Jim Richards, is playing his way into this one. Race 3 at Touring Car Masters. Back with more on Race Day Extra. Just a sec. Race Day Extra on the streets of Adelaide, the third and final race in the Touring Car Masters, presented by Autobarn. And we come back at a perfect time. John Bow is on the charge, trying to round up Steve Mason. The Camaro driver is having none of it.
No, every time JB gets up the inside, Steve does a good job of staying on the outside and making sure he's on the inside for the next corner, denying JB a clean pass. So I think JB's got pace on him. It's just a matter of getting the job done cleanly. As you see here, up the inside again. Now Mason will try and go around the outside, get a good exit and be on the inside for the run into the first chicane.
Battle of engine builders now. And the Camaro's just got a bit too much, and he'll be able to get back across in time for the line to the centre chicane.
Steve Mason's always had massive power in this Camaro, and you'd always say that a GM would always have just that little bit more power than the Ford product.
I'm shocked that you would say that. And he's going to cover the line at turn 4, and Mediki and Richards are going to be in this fight before too long, because they've been really closing in, and Jimmy's car, the Falcon Sprint, the 64 model, we're going to see Stephen Richards drive this car during the course of the year when Jimmy debuts that new AMC Javelin.
A lot of our regular viewers of Touring Car Masters and regular followers would be wondering why Jimmy's not up the front as much as he was last year. We saw Mason locked it inside front going into turn 7, ran very wide, now out of position for turn 8. He won't have enough grunt to get around the outside before the fast sweeper.
Richards is just zeroing in, but you started on a point there with Jim's car this year.
Yeah, he's probably not running as much as the front as we traditionally see, and JR's a bit of cunning bloke. He's very good with the rules, and when he built the Falcon Sprint, he realised that the power to weight was the way to go with this category, and built that car very, very light, and the rule makers have decided that that car probably needs a bit more weight in it, so I think it's carrying a few more extra kilos this year than last year, and that really knocks the car around. It's only got a 289 engine, and it knocks it around in the straights and also takes it out of the brakes a lot more.
Remember that there's 3 different classes in Touring Car Masters. The big cars are over 5.1 litres. Class B is 3.5 to 5.1, and Class A is for the smaller cars up to 3.5 litres. But the drivers can nominate before this first round if they want to go up or down a class and modify their rev limits and their weights and the like. So it is a bit of a sliding scale, but the end result is a category with massive diversity, some master drivers, and great racing.
Getting nice and sideways. You see here, Steve Mason was very, very strong early in the race, but I think he's paying the price for it now. He's getting quite sideways. Saw him have a massive sideways moment through turn 3, and you can just see the car moving around quite a bit.
If these things are beasts to drive now, can you imagine what they were like in the 70s?
Oh, well, I mean, tyre technology, suspension technology, engine technology, brake technology has come a long way since the 60s and 70s, and these cars will be a lot better than what they are now, than what they were there, and those blokes were superheroes back in the era.
Riding on board with Mediki.
Comes Richo up the inside. Nice and clean, gets the job done. So Richo still doing what he always does. Looks after the car, looks after the tyres, looks after the brakes, and then late in the race comes on strong.
Bow is just starting to edge away. He leads. Mason second, Richards third, Mediki fourth and sideways. Brad Tilley's next, then Adi Albanese. Alistair McLean in 7th, Kasuki's 8th, Westwood, and Mark King is now up into the top 10. So that's been a really great drive from the back of the pack. Here he is, and he's got a free spot. Kasuki goes around at turn 9. So after starting on the front row, the HQ will drop back in the order. The Queenslander manages to get running again, just in front of Greg Keane, one of the locals in the Porsche.
Oh, we've gone into hot here, so... Oh, no!
Now, can he escape here? He should.
Just slight contact with the tyre barrier, so heart rate's up at the moment, but hopefully we get it all under control and slide back into the pack here.
Mick Wilson in the Charger getting through, but back to the front. Richards third and just continuing to just chip away. TCM again running 8 rounds this year. Barbie Gallo in Perth is next on the list. It's been a bit of a return for the championship over WA, the Trading Post Perth Classic, where the support category bill this year is out of control. There's just about every category there.
Fantastic support category, and these cars will be awesome at Perth. I remember driving a Falcon Rally Sprint over in Perth, very similar shape to Richo's car, but not the same level of performance around there, and it was the most fun I've had around Barbagallo Raceway ever. Sideways coming up out of the basin, so these guys will be awesome to watch over there.
We're on the way home, penultimate lap in this final race of the weekend, and Bowes managed to just kick clear. Jimmy Richards still a chance for second, but I think a win is just a bit too far in front of him. But if they run as they are, John Bowe will not just win the race, he'll win the round.
Yeah, that's right. So this is going to be the race to the end of the event now. Richo looking after the car, trying to come on strong, so he'll be looking to get the job done the last lap. But this Camaro, a lot more horsepower than Richo's Falcon Rally Sprint. So what Mason needs to do here is drive the car very straight, because that's Richo's trademark. So if Mason can drive his car straight and get a good run out of the corner, Jim won't be close enough to get the job done on the brakes. And it looks like, I reckon, turn 9 will be where Richo will be looking to get the job done.
It really has been a category that has grown in the last couple of years, and the younger generations who didn't see these cars race in their heyday, they're still on the fence. They're asking their mums and dads about them, and it's just really great that the category has been a real fan-friendly category. The pits are open, there's kids sitting in cars, they're visiting schools. It's a series that's really growing.
It has. It really has captured the nation's imagination. Everyone loves watching it. I don't think anyone can say that they don't like watching this category. It's plenty to see, plenty of action. Cars are moving around a lot. Smoke, tyre smoke, brake lock-ups. Here we go. Oh, no, Mason blocks the rear.
Keeps it going.
Just gets it stopped. Very hard to stop these cars with leaf spring rear end. Get a lot of tramp in the braking area, and it's one real technique to not have that. So late in the race, you're always susceptible to that. The rear brakes, the drums on the rear brakes will heat up, and it's hard to modulate the brake pedal when the drums are locked on.
One last chance for Jim Richards here, but Mason goes in pretty deep and will cover the line, and the Camaro is pretty strong in a straight line. But John Bowe will take the race, he'll take the round. The Mustang is home. Mason second, Jimmy Richards third. Andrew Medicki hangs on for fourth from Brad Tilley. Never been a dud TCM race, another good one.
Another great one, and the good thing about these categories, they'll all go back to the pits, have a good laugh about it, pat each other on the back, have a latte, and then see you at the next race and do it all again.
It is good stuff. Looking back in the pack, here's Ian McAllister, running 13th overall. The 64 Mustang Coupe. Looking back at Greg King, we jump on board for this final corner. And it is a bit of work in these cars, but these guys have so much fun. Big grandstand here at Clipsal, really appreciating the category. And it's on in the background there, Mick Wilson in the Charger. The Porsches are a big part of this category as well. And we'll be seeing a lot more Touring Car Masters action. It's on in the background here. Philip Showers in the Escort's been passed on the last corner.
That's a pass lead, it looks like.
Tony Karafilovsky in the Alpha has snuck home and got by in the end. He's supposed to run a Falcon a bit later in the year when the parts come through for that car, so we look forward to that. John Bowe the winner, Steve Mason in second from Jimmy Richards and Andrew Medicki. Doug Westwood is in ninth, and Gary O'Brien rounds out the top 10 on what was another great Touring Car Masters race. Big day at Clipsal, of course, race 4 of the V8 Championship coming up. V8 Utes, they're on track next on Race Day Extra.